Good morning, everybody. It's Dan here from Headwaters Kayak Shop, and I'm out at Lodi Lake today, and I'm checking out the brand new Feelfree Moken 2.0. And I wanted to just walk you guys through real quick to show you what they changed for 2020 and give you guys an idea what to expect on the second iteration of the Feelfree Moken. So let's start with the boat itself. What is a Feelfree Moken? If you haven't heard of it, it is one of the most iconic sit-on-top fishing kayaks of the past 10 years. We've sold thousands of these things over the years, but in the past few years a lot more boats have came to the market with lawn chair style seats and more features, more bells and whistles, so the Moken kind of faded to the background a little bit. But Feelfree has gone through and completely reworked the deck of this boat. From the waist down, it's the same. It's still a Moken, still one of the best paddling sit on tops for all waters, you know, lakes, rivers, and ocean. Still has a built-in wheel in the keel. But on the deck, you see they made a ton of changes. So let's just start at the front and we'll work our way back. Starting at the front, they put on a couple of these little rod tip protectors so you can slide the tips of your rods in here, and then you can support them back here. Front hatch stays the same. Where you really notice a lot of differences in the cockpit itself. It used to have a long, skinny console, kind of like the Vibe Sea Ghost, but now they swapped it out for the sonar pod. So now you can either use this, like today I'll use it to throw my stuff inside. You can mount your fish finder on top, transducer wire tucks right in that little hole, and then your battery lives there. And then you little plug here, all your transducer gets wired to the bottom, shoots right through the hole. So just like they did on the Feelfree lure to make fish finder rigging super easy, they still kept a standing platform, which is reinforced with plexiglass underneath your feet. The tracks themselves, they used to be recessed. The thing about the recessed tracks is they were always kind of flexy in the boat. They've went to this surface mount track, which we have found to be a lot stouter, a lot tougher. Doesn't have near as much flex when you're mounting big stuff to it. So really happy with that upgrade. And the biggest upgrade to the boat is the seat. They still had a clip-in style seat up until 2019, which in order to be competitive in this market, I really feel like you need a lawn chair style seat. So they have a little buckle here. You can raise this up. There you go, and then set it in that upper position. So you have that high-low paddling position. 33-inch wide boat, 12.5 foot long. So it still should be plenty stable in the high seat. I'll test it out for you guys. Behind the seat, the take well stays pretty much the same. You've got a paddle holder on each side, cup holder on each side, rod holder on each side. But in the tank well, they got rid of the recess track and they put in this surface mount. Other than that, the boat stays the same. It gets the beaver tail rudder this year as opposed to the smart track rudder, which should be a nice upgrade in handling. But all in all, they did a really nice job. They didn't completely try to redesign the boat. They kept what works and they changed what needed to be updated. All in all, I think they did a fantastic job, and I cannot wait to get it on the water and see how it performs. So let's get into it. So since I already had it up here, I went ahead and tried it out in the high seat position, stepped into the boat, launched myself. No problems at all in the high seat. Still feels really, really stable. You know, your center of gravity does feel raised a little bit. It's not as stable as a lure, but I would say it's every bit as comparable to a Sea Ghost. Still plenty stable for the average person to feel comfortable in the high seat and flat water. And the other thing is you've got this little stand-up leash right here. You can pull yourself up to make it easy to stand, and definitely an easy boat for the average person to stand in. Again, I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. No trouble at all standing in this boat. So a little talk about leg room here. I am about 3 notches up from the furthest setting when I'm in the high seat. Although when I lower to the low, I max this out with my 34-inch in seat. All right, so I'm playing with it here in the high position still. And one thing I noticed is my 240 paddle that I typically use on most all kayaks feels a little bit short. So heads up, if you're buying this, you may want to either look at an adjustable length, you know, 240 to 255, like the Benny Branch's Navigator Pro. Like this same paddle has an adjustable. Werner Paddles makes a really nice adjustable shaft. But it would be nice to have a little bit more length when you're high and then to drop it down and go low. It has about 4 inches of adjustment, so it definitely raises you up significantly. No stability issues at all in the high seat. This boat wants to rock way over onto a secondary and lock in. Kind of one of those things, if you go past a certain point in a high chair on almost any boat, you feel like it kind of will want to go. But the stability profile is really good for a 33-inch wide boat, and it paddles awesome. You know, they haven't changed the whole design, so my paddle across the lake feels like hanging out with an old friend, just way, way more comfortable. So the Feelfree Moken to me has always been that that go-to do-it-all boat. If somebody wanted a under $1,000 boat that they were going to float a river one weekend, go fish a lake the next weekend, and then maybe go offshore the following. This is a boat that can kind of do all those things well. It's a compromise in all areas. There's more maneuverable boats for the river. There's faster, sleeker boats for the ocean. But a boat that you can stand up in, you know, that you can float rivers in, but you can still punch off through some waves and go offshore and fish. The Moken is a really, really great design. You're talking $799 for the base boat, $200 to upgrade to the rudder, and you've got top load gear tracks, you've got the sonar pod between your legs, reinforced standing platform, high-low adjustable chair, which I gotta say is so comfortable. Same chairs I used in their Johnny Bass 100, which when I reviewed that, I remember thinking the same thing, how comfortable that seat is, a ton of lumbar support, a ton of seat height. So basically what they did is they took one of my favorite boats and made it so much better. Every little detail that I asked, you know, I've been asking for this boat for years, and every little detail they came through on. And they made rigging the fish finder easy. They made high-low adjustable chair easy. Adding the rudder to it's already all pre-plumbed. We installed this rudder in a matter of 10 minutes yesterday. I definitely think we're gonna see this to be a great seller, great addition to that sub $1,000 price point fleet, and really give companies like, you know, Vibe and Seagulls and or maybe that Old Town Topwater a run for their money, because at $799 for this versatile of a boat, I challenge you to find a better one. If you know one, let me know, because I'd love to try it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drop down the rudder here. So again, this has got the beaver tail rudder, which is a huge blade. And people ask, why do you want a rudder on a paddle kayak? I hear that all the time. And the rudder is basically your tracking and your steering. So if you're paddling downwind, the rudder is what's gonna help you glide and go straight without the boat constantly wanting to weathercock and spin out. But the other thing is, if I'm fishing, say I wanted to fish right here against this log, I can do a lot of the control I need to make, turning to the structure, turning away from the structure, all with my feet with just a little bit of speed. So it means less time me trying to position myself while fishing one-handed like this. I can just paddle, get my boat going, then pick up my rod and fish and kind of stay in position. So it's another level of control, so you can spend more time fishing, less time with the paddle in your hands. And then it is a huge advantage if you're fishing offshore, anywhere where there's wind and chop, just to keep this boat traveling straight. Tracking downwind, I think, is a really big thing. The boat tracks beautifully in flat water or even slight wind, but as soon as you go downwind in any kayak, what happens is the bow wants to lock in to a wave, and then the stern wants to get pushed around. It's called weathercocking. Happens in all kayaks. So kayaks will either compensate that by putting a drop down skeg that drops down the bottom of the boat to lock that stern in and keep it running down wave, or they'll do something like a rudder that's basically a fin that drops down off the back, hits the water, and then it's steerable, so you can then drive the boat where you want it to go. I want to drop this thing in the low seat, see how it feels, and then see how fast it is for a 12.5 footer. Just raise this up. I got a little cam buckle here. I'm just loosening that up. Get myself forward. Yeah, just an easy slide. I can just drop it into the low seat, adjust my foot pedals. The nice thing about these foot braces on the foot pedals, they self-adjust with the rudder cable. You don't have to mess with anything. Yeah. And from this position, the 240 feels great. Feels totally fine. So down in the low seat position, you can see way more of my kayak. I feel connected to the kayak. My legs are sort of here. My butt's real connected to the seat. It feels like a cockpit, more like a traditional kayak. So to have the best of both worlds in a kayak, I think is a pretty cool thing. A lot of times people get in kayaks because they think they want the most stability. But what I think you'll find with the Moken is you get plenty enough stability, but a lot more speed, a lot more glide, and a lot more tracking than you would, say, with the Lure, the bigger, wider brother of this boat. And a lot more portability. You know, this boat's only 75 pounds, so one can still, you know, pick it up, move it around. It's got the wheel and the keel, so you can drag it like you saw earlier. I think, you know, I'm obviously a fan of the Moken. My bias comes out. I've always been a fan of this boat, and I've been recommending it for years. I keep putting it in my top 10 under $1,000 video. This year was the first year that it didn't make it. And part of the reason was because I knew this was coming out. And I didn't want to, like, oversell something that I knew was going to kind of be obsolete. But I think for 2020, this might be at the top of the line in my top 10 video. Really good value, really nice paddling boat, extremely well made. I'm not going to oversell it, you guys. Again, I suggest you come down, try it for yourself. If you aren't in the California area, no problem. There's lots of stores all over the country that sell Feelfree. find a local dealer near you where you can go sit in some boats. Again, feelfreeus.com, and they have a dealer locator. You can find a dealer near you. Thanks so much for watching this today, you guys. I'm gonna go get to work. It's gonna be a busy Saturday morning. And by the time this video releases, chances are we've hit our 30,000 mark. I will be doing a 30,000 giveaway. I appreciate you guys so much for continuing to watch the channel, continuing to support the channel, and I want to give back to you all. You guys have been incredible. Until next time, this is Dan wishing you happy paddling. We'll see you on the next one. Gotta love the wheel on the key.